Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival and Fieldcraft. I'm Andrew, and what I have for you today is how to start fire in the rain. We have some mighty fine Ranger weather going on. It's been raining since yesterday evening, all the way through the night and into this morning. So what better task to accomplish during inclement weather than trying to get a fire started when everything around us is soaking wet, to include ourselves. We have a basic kit, one cutting tool, one fire starter, and we're going to demonstrate the skills it takes to actually get a fire going in adverse conditions like the stuff we have today. We're going to locate materials, use those materials, and then develop some improvisational techniques to protect our fire until we're ready to light it and then get that fire going so we can warm up and survive. Stand by. All right, so everything is wet, and we have two items with us to help get a fire going. No shelter materials, only two items. That belt item is going to be a hatchet. I'm a big fan of hatchets because we can take it out and immediately go to work. We don't need to craft wooden tools to take down material and to begin to survive. And our fire starting item is going to be a lighter. It's a routine, everyday item, something everybody's going to have in their pocket that can give us instant flame and get a fire started. Now that lighter is susceptible to water, but we can save a drowned lighter. Let me demonstrate. We're going to take our lighter, throw it in water, let it get fully submerged for a while, pull it out, shake the water loose, blow the water out of the lighter, and then keep flipping it until the wheel dries, the flint dries, and the fuel comes out of that lighter to ignite and give us flame, and that's how you rescue a drowned lighter. Now, the first step I recommend when we go to start a fire in the rain is removing any clothing that could jeopardize our material. So let's take off those gloves because those gloves are going to retain water and it's going to compromise our fire starting materials even more. Before we even begin to collect materials and try to get a fire started, we need to locate a suitable place where we can actually set up a fire lay, protect our materials, and then get a fire going. Some sort of natural shelter. If we don't have a poncho or a tarp with us, or we don't have some sort of overhang or a cave, nothing is available. We have to make do with what's around us. And luckily we found this bent over red cedar. This red cedar with the greenery above us is going to give us enough overhead cover to help shield our fire lay and our fire materials, putting that much more material between us and the rainfall coming down from the sky. Plus, we can take off all the branches underneath this tree, open up the space, and limit the amount of water dripping down into our fire lay. Another good thing about the material underneath this tree is that it's relatively dry inside, so we can use that chopped off material as the base for our fire. Alright, so here's probably the best trick I know to get a fire going in rain or any adverse conditions like we have today. And that is to improvise with the natural materials around us. We don't need to construct an elaborate debris shelter to help safeguard our materials. What we can do is create just an improvised poncho from green leafy material around the area. So we're going to take down a bunch of limbs, turn those limbs over so the bottom side of the leaves are up, giving us a basic poncho or cover to help shield our fire lay and our fire materials while we construct our fire. Once we have that green leafy material, we can move back to our fire site and cover our material. Notice how I put leaves over top of the branches we chopped off earlier. That's just to help safeguard those branches. The outside of the branches is wet, but the material inside is dry, and any little bit helps. So while we're collecting that green leafy material, we're going to cover our initial fire lay with what's around us just to make do. We're going to go get more dry stuff here in a second. Now, the very first fire material we should look for is stuff that's actually going to burn. We can hold off on tinder because we know tinder is going to be very marginal given the weather conditions, so we want to look for stuff that's going to be able to burn first. That way we know we at least have fuel, because we can take those large pieces of fuel and actually process them down into smaller sections. So we're going to look for dead standing trees and we're going to harvest those for our fuel. Now that we have our fuel, let's head back to our fire site. First things first, everything we're not going to process out immediately goes right underneath our cover. We can actually move our fire lay or our platform off to the side and give us a good working space. Notice how when we chop this material down, we're going to use one of the log pieces as an anvil to go on the earth's surface, helping to protect the material, but also our hatchet head from any rocks that may be in the dirt that could potentially damage our edge. We're going to process this material down and continue to build large chunks first and then work smaller and smaller from medium to small sections. Notice how when we break down the material, we're going to turn the dry side or the inner material face down while it's resting on the anvil, exposing the bark surface to the sky, which is already wet and compromised, shielding the inner material, keeping it dry for us. Once we have our first section that's going to be the base for our platform, we can put it right underneath our cover with the rest of the material. Now the technique we're employing is called the one-stick fire technique, only this time we're going to use as much material as there is available and we're going to process it down. We're going to start off with those large sections and then we're going to continue on processing material down into medium sections and then finally smaller sections. We're doing this in reverse order. That way we build up our base, we build up the inner material, and then finally that kindling material that's going to take a flame really well. We continue to process material out. As we process it, we place it underneath our cover on top of the material we already have made, keeping it protected and dry. We can then build up our fire lay once we have enough material, move it back to its original position, and then stack our base up, put our material large on top first, that medium material, and then the small material, and then cover everything with our poncho leafy green material cover. Real quick, let me show you some tinder sources. We have the red cedar tree standing straight up and down, and you'll see the lighter color and darker color bark on its trunk. That lighter color is what we want to go for. That darker color is where the moisture has collected and ran down the tree, compromising that tinder. We can take our hatchet, scrape away the lighter colored tinder to give us a good bird's nest or tinder bundle. Only it's really damp outside and there's a lot of moisture in the air. You can see it in my breath. And this tinder is not going to want to burn very well. Because all that natural tinder is compromised and is not going to burn very well, that's why we should always go into the field with our own tinder source. And around that lighter we have our duct tape or 100-mile-an-hour tape. We can take that tape off, tear it into sections, bundle it up into a tape bundle that's going to burn and give us a long-lasting flame source. Now is the time to get that fire lay complete and prep all of our materials ahead of lighting our fire. We'll move back, remove the cover, make sure our fire lay is complete and stacked in the right order. We take our tinder tape bundle, place it in our fire lay, and if we need to go collect more materials, we can take that cover and put it right over top and come back and start our fire when we are ready. We are only going to remove that cover from our fire lay when we are 100% ready to start this fire first time. Any exposure to the elements could ruin our fire lay, so we want to do this the right way the first time. Otherwise, we're going to be doing this all over again. We remove that cover, and we're going to take out our lighter and light our tinder tape bundle. That tape is going to act as a flame extender, increasing the flame from our lighter without using up all the fuel inside the lighter itself. That tape is going to burn, start the smaller sections on fire, and continue to burn out, starting our fire, giving us that large flame and heat source. All right, that fire is burning hot. The fuel is lit, and it looks to be at a sustainable level. So here's another trick that we can do to help safeguard our fire. That cover material that we use to cover all of our fire materials, we can now place it up in the tree above us to give us additional cover, additional materials between us and the rainfall over top of our fire, protecting it from the rain and limiting its exposure to the elements. Starting fire in the rain is one of the hardest tasks for any survivalist to accomplish. So we're going to employ all the tips and tricks and skills to get that fire going and put it into practice before we actually really need it in a true survival situation. Alright guys, that was a down and dirty video today on how to start fire in the rain. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment in the comment section. I always appreciate your feedback. I want to thank you guys for everything you do for me, your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your comments, your feedback, and your shares. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks.